Welcome to the very first inaugural 15th protocol group accountability call. How is everyone feeling about we hit the 15th of the month? Who feels like they have already accomplished 50% of what needs to be done to hit their goals for the month?
There's always more to be done.
There is always more to be done. And since this is the first time, and when we talked about it the other day, we were covering so much stuff. I actually thought it might be helpful if in today's call we kind of clarified, how do you actually set it up? How do you know what you're trying to hit? Like, how do you make it meaningful? Let's say that I'm going to keep it ultra easy. You have a goal of selling 40 houses this year, and you want uh 24 to be listing sold, and you want the rest to be buyer sides. So you've actually done all the math on your conversion rates, and you know that to hit your goal, you have to go on 6 listing appointments a month. And then you also know that in order to set 6 listing appointments, you should be talking to 60 people a week, voice to voice or face to face. Okay? So your 15th protocol would literally be, have you already gone on to listing appointments, and have you already talked to 120 people? And some people, so I'm giving you 2 examples. There's other examples of what you like to track, and you want to make it something that you get fired up about. So what would happen is, it's October 15th, just using those examples. If you have not had 2 listing appointments already and you are not at 120, you've already decided what will happen for the rest of the month. That's the part that we touched on briefly, but we didn't go into detail on. So they should be SMART goals, meaning specific, measurable, action oriented, and you've got to make it just set that the last half of every month, if you haven't hit 50% of what's required to achieve the goal, you're going to do those immediate actions without any question. You get what I mean? So what's the one exception? If you're booked to leave on a cruise to Greece, okay, you'll do part of it the first week and the remainder that week when you get back, right? So let all be, but if you're not leaving town, you're not, that these things will happen. So, some examples. Does anyone already have some ideas set of what they would do if they're not at goal? It's got to be full on income producing activity with a high probability of getting a result. So, obviously, a lot of lead generation, lead follow up, in person, massive action. Anyone have any ideas of what that could be? One of the best things to do would be, if we're not halfway towards goal with actions and results by the 15th, the very first Tuesday after the 15th is a full lead generation day where you will lead generate for, you can pick your measurement, total of 5 hours, or obviously chunked up. So you would do like an hour and 10 minutes, 10-minute break, hour, 10 minutes, 10-minute break. Like you would break and do 2 sessions in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 30 minutes lead follow up, boom. Or similar to Bold 100, you're going to be on the phone until you talk to 50 people. So like you would have something, see what I mean? Like there's a measurement, a target, and a day already scheduled. The reason you want to do the scheduled day is you guys can go into your calendar now. You already know what the 15th of every month is, and you can tentatively schedule, what's that Tuesday after. If Tuesday is a known crazy day in your market, it's like the office sales meeting and caravan and okay, Wednesday. But like pick a day and tentatively schedule for the rest of the year, the Tuesday or Wednesday after the 15th of every month, I am doing a power day if I'm not at goal. Guess what else you could do? Just make that a power day anyway. But with playing with 15th protocol, that would be the idea there. Have you guys noticed a higher pickup rate either Saturday mornings or Tuesday or Thursday evening?
Definitely Saturday.
So that's what a lot of clients do, Corrine, is they'll say, okay, if I am not at goal the very first Saturday after the 15th, I'm getting to the office at 9 o'clock. I'm not doing it from home because all of us, come on, let's have real moment here, right? So you're going to be in the office by 9, you'll have your favorite coffee, you'll put on your favorite music on low, and you will start doing calls and you'll do calls. You determine your time. A lot of people that do Saturday morning, they do either 2.5 hours with, hour 10 minute, 10-minute break, hour 10-minute wrap up, or they do 3 hours. So take your pick, but just make it set Saturday morning. And to really lean in on the power of the 15th protocol, if you're at or ahead of goal, but then take that time that would have been lead generating and do something nice for yourself or your family or whatever. If you really want to reinforce in your mind, like, oh, part of how I have work life balance is when I'm ahead of pace and I did everything I planned on doing in the first half of the month and it resulted in good results. Now I get this amazing brunch and painting pottery with my family or, whatever it is that you might like to do. This is my recent project. So, what are some other highly probable income producing activities that you could pre-schedule to do? I mentioned Tuesday and Thursday evening. So, Corrine mentioned that high pickup rate on Saturday mornings. Yes. Tuesday and Thursday evenings also have a high pickup rate. And it's when consumers are Monday evenings has a high pickup rate, but that is the worst mood as a nation across America is Monday evening. So we highly recommend not doing that unless it's a critical, time sensitive transactional call. You want to minimize calls on Monday evening. What's the issue with Wednesday evenings? Who knows? There's a couple that play out kind of across the country. It's the biggest evening for PTA, back to school nights. Many, many churches have either youth group or services. So Wednesday evening tends to be not as high a pickup rate. And Fridays, most people you're gonna have one of the lowest pickup rates of the week. Come on, what are some other things you guys could do that could be scheduled in advance and just automatically? It's like you want your 15th protocol to be like flipping a light switch. Like you walked into your seasonal closet where you keep ornaments and random stuff you only access. You just open it and you turn on the light switch. You want it to be that automatic. What else could you do that would have a high probability of leading to more business even in that month? I have another client that if they are not at goal, they automatically on the 16th of every month, if they're not at their halfway point on the 15th, they call every active client, buyer and seller. They ask for a referral. And if it's a listing, they ask for a price reduction or they discuss, next step strategies if the listing isn't moving. Any other ideas of what you guys could do? One of my luxury agents in San Jose, the Friday morning after the 15th, if she didn't hit the halfway point, she calls all of her inner circle vendors and she has a vulnerability call. So that call would go a little bit like this. Miguel, it's Bridget. Do you have a quick minute? I know it's Friday. You're probably busy. Miguel says, yes. I wanted to share with you. You're part of my inner circle. I consider you actually almost like an extension of my team. The reality is, I'm a little behind this month and I really do not want a gap to get created. So I wanted to ask you, Miguel, specifically, who do you know who may want to either buy or sell real estate before the end of the year? So she will, if she's not at the halfway point on the 15th, that next Friday morning, boom, every vendor, a vulnerability, right? It's your inner circle vendors. I wouldn't like meet someone at the Chamber of Commerce Tuesday and be like, hi, lender that wants my business. I'm behind this month. Can I have a referral? Like, I wouldn't do that. But inner circle established relationships, you open with vulnerability, compliment that is real to the vendor. You're part of my inner circle, make them feel special. Who do you know specifically is the key word there that will bring about more answers than less that would like to either buy or sell real estate before the end of the year or right now, but having that urgency. We can put Chanel on the spot. Chanel, are you in the mood to be put on the spot? She's like, I'm not unmuting for that.
Sure. Put me on the spot, Bridget. Why not?
Yeah. We were just talking about, we're brainstorming around what are high income producing activities that you can pre schedule that
Mhm.
could be part of your automatic 15th protocol that just you keep it as clinical as possible. I was telling everyone, Chanel, you want it to be like you're just turning on the light in a room. I'm supposed to be at 2 consultations by the 15th held and 120 contacts. I'm not. I'm at 80 contacts and 1 consultation. So instead of belaboring it, you just turn the switch on and boom, you know exactly what you're gonna do the rest of the month to cover
Mhm.
that gap. We didn't even talk about open houses yet. Sorry if I'm gonna steal your idea after putting you on the spot, Chanel. What if you're behind on consultation, you're behind on contacts, um, then that means the last 2 weekends of the month, you will double up and do double the number of open houses you were gonna do,
Yeah.
and it's just automatic. The most powerful 15th protocols are the ones where there's 0 thought involved after you have decided what the actions are going to be. So we decide today, "Okay, if I'm not halfway to goal, I'm going to do 2 open houses the last 2 weekends of the month. I'm gonna go to all the estate sales and yard sales I can find Saturday morning until I give out 20 cards. I'm going to do a Tuesday hour and a half calling session, the second Tuesday after the 15th, and the first, but like you just plan what it is, and then there's no thought involved. You literally just do it. I'm doing the power day the Tuesday after the 15th. So we were brainstorming when you came in, Chanel, like what are some of those activities that would be impactful and you start to cover that gap so that you don't get a huge gap by the end of the month.
Yeah, I mean, to elaborate further with the open house process, so we've started implementing calls prior to the open house of
Uh-huh.
the neighborhood. So that is a great way to bring listings to the team,
Yep.
and it's just like the standard. So we're not just hosting open houses, we're doing stuff pre-open house, post open house, before we door knock the neighborhood, like we're doing all the things. Another thing that I try to do is set at least 2 appointments while I'm at the open house. Sometimes people, they don't when you're following up, it's kind of hard to get in touch. Like if I know like I need an appointment to reach my goal for the month, like, I'm getting the appointment in person while they're in front of me. So much
Mhm.
easier for them to say yes, I feel like, when I'm talking to them face to face,
Right.
especially if they're asking a lot of questions. So that's definitely something that you just don't just host an open house, like, be super intentional, like, how can I if I really wanted to make 5 appointments with 1 open house, I could do that. I just gotta do all the things that come with
Right.
it, so yeah. I mean, I think open houses alone. And then another thing is sometimes if there isn't a listing within our team available that week, another thing that I do is on a Monday, I'm looking in our office Facebook page to see if anybody else has an open house need. Because even if there's not something, maybe all of our stuff is under contract or they don't want to open house that weekend. There are other
Right.
out there. So that's something that I try to actively do is like, all right, find an open house. There has to be someone somewhere. We got
Yes.
300 agents in our office, like, somebody needs me, so just putting yourself
Well,
out there.
Chanel, you just made me think of another idea too. And this won't work in every market. There are some markets, and Jason, you're in one of them for sure. There's some markets that don't have a lot of for sale by owners. But if you're in an area that has any for sale by owners, and you either, as Chanel said, there's not a listing from your business, or there's not one in the market center, or something that, you just can't land one. Pull up the FSBOs, find out who's doing an open, plan out your route, and go hit them all. So you can like make that if you don't have an open house and you're in an area with for sale by owners, you could go to the for sale by owner open houses. So that could be one of your activities that you would do. Does anyone else have any activity ideas? I'm going to ask the question in a different way. You all ready? And there's going to be a little fantasy land going on here, but roll with it. I want you to imagine that there's an all hands on deck meeting for your office called tomorrow. And you show up tomorrow and there's some stuffed shirt representative from your state's Bureau of Real Estate or Department of Real Estate or whatever it's called in your state. And they say to all of you, okay, we have some huge changes coming down the pike. If you want to keep your real estate license, you have to get a property under contract within 30 days. If you don't have a property under contract non-contingent in 30 days, you will lose your real estate license forever and there's no backseas. What would you do? Okay, so what would you do? Like you've got to get a
Well,
contract or you're going to
just
lose
like
your
right now,
contract forever.
we're trying to hold the we're doing the open houses and we're doing the best with that part, but I guess it would be more of a reaching out to more of our sphere saying, "Hey, I have this house listed. Do you know anyone looking for it?" Something of this nature.
Anyone else? That's okay. That's good. Yep, leaning in on Sphere. Anyone else have anything they would do? Betty Lou Bick Bick joined the call. Betty Lou. Betty Lou would print out 10 seller presentations and 10 buyer presentations, whatever your pre-listing package is or your buyer, and purposefully drive to 10 past clients, either at their work or their home, and say, "Hey, Jason, could you do me a big favor? I'd love your feedback on our marketing materials. Can I leave this with you? Great. Can I check in Tuesday on your feedback? Awesome. I'll call you between 3 and 5. Is that good? Yay. Get 10 pre-listing packages, 10 buyer packages, get them out. Get them out to people that are inner circle or past client. It doesn't matter if they are doing anything or not. You're going to instantly get their RAS activated to be on alert for a real estate opportunity around them. It also is something that creates chatter, and when you are not having enough business or enough lead gen, you need more chatter. You could also give 10 to your best vendors. If you don't have 10 inner circle vendors, fill in the number. So make sure with all your vendors, you're like, "Hey, Brandy, I realized the other day, I don't think you've seen my new pre-listing package. I just wanted to give you this one. Could you really look it through? I'd love your feedback. You're so good at branding and that whole look. Can I get feedback Tuesday? Awesome." But you've got to get like, notice what am I doing with that? What am I asking for?
Feedback.
I'm asking for a favor and feedback. Exactly right. So that's the Ben Franklin effect. If you don't know it, we have a podcast episode about it. So with the Ben Franklin effect, people actually like you more if you ask them for a favor and if you ask for their feedback, right? So they're also much more likely to look through it. And it doesn't matter personality type. I am a classic high D that knows how to strategically appear as a high I when it is beneficial for what I'm doing professionally. I will look through your entire thing because if Brandy came to me and said, "Hey, I really value your opinion and want your feedback. Would you look through this?" I will read every bit of language and every footnote because if she had a typo or something, I'd want to tell her. And I'd be like, "Oh my God, I love it. The negative space, the color. You know what? I did notice. Did you mean for that to be the British spelling in color in the footnote on page 4?" So everyone will dive deeper into whatever you ask them for the feedback on. And then notice in the example, I keep setting up a follow-up call. "Hey, can I call you Tuesday between 3 and 5? Awesome. Regular cell number. Cool. Guess what I'm doing Tuesday evening, late afternoon? I'm calling past clients, my vendors. I'm getting feedback. They're going to say things like, "I got to tell you, Brandy, like, I know you were good. I didn't realize you had those additional protective services you did in terms of making sure that no one's fooling with my title or anything. Like, I didn't know you did that. That's really cool." So they're going to learn more about what you do. Guess what else they're going to say if they happen to have a real estate need or they know someone who does, they're likely to share it, right? Maybe let's take it a step further, especially if you're down on your number of consultations needed. What is one of the fastest ways to schedule more listing appointments or buyer consultations? What is a very dramatic action you can take that activates your RAS to be on alert? It's a step further than giving away your pre-listing package. What else could you do?
I was just saying I like that, but I mean, as far as like giving the packets away, but could you go ahead and ask them also to share them and ask other people's opinion or no?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Jolie Robinson, she was doing this in Texas and she ended up bringing 2. And then she'd be like, "You want one of these to give away?" People are like, "Yeah, I'd love one." So she got them out and you never know where they'll end up. So yes, you could do that. One of the fastest ways to activate your brain to get more listing appointments in particular is for you to do more listing appointments. So you could actually reach out to someone that's inner circle, past client, one of your best friends, a relative on occasion. They cannot be a practicing realtor. So if you happen to have like an aunt that holds a real estate license because she won't give it up, but she is a volunteer at a art museum, that's fine. You could do it with her. Do not do it with someone who's selling real estate because our subconscious perceives practicing with a realtor differently than a regular civilian, I'll say. So what you would do is you would call one of your inner circle and very similar script. Tina, look, getting ready for the new year, I've really tightened up and revamped a lot of my listing presentation. And I got to tell you, I value your opinion in terms of what consumers are looking for at a really high level. Would you do me a favor and allow me to come over this week and just do my full listing presentation for you as if you were moving? She's in my inner circle. What is she going to say? Of course you can. Or, it's my son's last soccer tournament weekend. Could we do it next week? So she's either going to say yes, or she's going to give an alternate time because she's in my inner circle. Okay. And guess what? You treat that listing appointment straight up like that is a full on real listing appointment, and you are going in a competitive situation and you want that listing. So you show up A game, dressed, on time, ready. You do everything you would do. CMA, print out the documents. You don't have to print a whole thing. California is crazy, but I just do the residential listing agreement and agency disclosure, right? Have that, take a highlighter and put sample across it so they know you're not trying to actually list their house. Do an actual market value. So you're also giving them an update on their home. I don't care if they're renting, do a market value on the property they're renting. The more you play all in, you actually text them. So, like Tina says, yes, you can come do that. I would send her a quick text and be like, to get your honest feedback, I'm going to act like I don't know you that well. And you're moving to Wyoming. You want to be there by Thanksgiving. It's a lifelong dream. So there's context for the conversation. And then just go to the listing appointment. And you show up and you are a game. And you do not, under any circumstance, hang out afterwards. You are going to do it, finish, and you're gonna say, all right, I'm heading out to my next appointment. I can't wait to get your feedback. Can we talk on Tuesday? Notice a trend here. I think Tuesday afternoons are a great time for getting feedback or lead follow up or checking in, or, so when you just start training yourself that you always say Tuesday between 3 and 5, guess what? You're future pacing yourself to be doing intense lead follow up and follow up with sphere of influence in your inner circle Tuesdays between 3 and 5. Has anyone done this before? I know some of you focus on buyers. You do the same thing with the buyer consultation. Guess what happens if you did that every week between now and New Year's? What would happen to your efficiency of preparing for consultations? What would happen to it?
It would get stronger. You would
Yeah.
have you would be more prepared. You would go in
Mhm.
there with a lot more confidence.
What if you had a beautiful pre-listing packet or buyer consultation packet and there was just like, let's say you got feedback from 3 different people that there was a page that was confusing. Would you fix it? Right? So your system, you would just keep polishing the system. What do you think would happen to your skill and ability in doing your consultation and asking for signatures? Yeah. And what would happen to your conversion rate? So, one last guess, and someone needs to unmute and actually give an answer. What do you think happens? Not all the time, but at least 3, 4 times a year. I hear this back from people that do this. Guess what can happen in that appointment? You have to unmute, Tina.
They decide to sell their home and they call
Bingo.
to list it.
Bingo. I can't tell you. I've gotten again, it happens 3 or 4 times a year where I get a text, you got to call me when you got a break. I'm like, okay. And then I call them. You won't believe it. I was doing that real play that you told me to do with the inner circle. And they looked at each other funny during the meeting and they went, should we tell her? Yeah, let's tell her. Well, we haven't told anyone yet, not even our parents. But guess what? We're moving to Virginia and we're actually going right after New Year's. So you'll start getting information from people that you had no idea about. They will also, that was an exact example. Another example, one agent was told first about a pregnancy that had not been announced to family. Another agent, the halfway through, the guy like cut him off and said, I like what you're doing. I get it. You do all that stuff. I've actually made a decision. I have some investment townhomes and I want to go ahead and get those listed. So, and he ended up getting like 3 listings that were investment properties that he didn't even really know that that guy owned. And he listed all 3 over the course of, a few months. So, is the main reason you're doing it because there's going to be business you didn't know about? No. But do you think you're pretty dang excited when that happens? Yes. All right. All right. Does all of it make more sense now? So you're going to calculate what is your target for knowing exactly what puts you at halfway for each month in terms of consultations and leads. Why are we putting contacts or leads identified? I would pick 2 criteria. I have some really intense people that pick 3, but pick that so you know what you're measuring and then you know if you've hit it or not. And then you want to know exactly what activities you're going to do the last half of the month if you're not at the halfway point. Does anyone know why we emphasize consultations held, leads identified, and or contacts made more so than pendings accepted? You have more control over the activities I outlined: appointments held, consultations held, contacts made, leads identified. You have more control over that. And it's a lead indicator. The pendings, your offers accepted, that is a lag. You have less control over it, and it's a lag indicator because that's probably going to close in the next 30 days. The contacts you make now may be future business. So don't get too hung up in that. Can you make it offers accepted or contracts signed? Yes. If you want to be like, by the 15th of every month, I have at least 1 buyer agency and 1 listing agreement signed. Perfect. If you want to make it, I will have at least 1 new pending by the 15th of every month. Perfect. So you can do that. I didn't want you to get off this call and have any unanswered questions about what your measurement could be. Okay.
You've given us some great tips on things to do
So,
because I wouldn't have thought about going and practicing with a non-agent, someone
oh yeah, someone
just
in
to
your
do
inner
that.
circle.
Yeah. So, and I do want to tell you, you know how you told us to start that newsletter and you said within a year we would get something from it. And in my neighborhood, I actually got a listing appointment I went on yesterday from.
Yay.
So,
Good. So yeah, I know you guys are digesting a lot, and this is kind of either a new or returning concept from years ago that you're thinking about. So I would challenge everyone in between now and Halloween, pick what your measurement is going to be on the 15th that you're going to see. Am I halfway towards what I need to do in this month to accomplish what I need to do in this month? So decide that, and then decide what your activities will be if you don't hit it. And then when we meet on November, and obviously we can discuss it between now and then. And when we meet on November 15th, we can start off and you guys can be like, hey guys, I really need help. I did everything I had planned for lead gen and I still fell short. This was a challenge I faced. What do you recommend? And you guys can share. Or someone could come in and be like, I'm so excited, but I can't wait to share. I actually hit it. I'm where I needed to be halfway through. So should I still do what I had planned or should I not? Like, so it's going to be interactive and you're going to share. I hit it. I didn't hit it. Please help. This worked great. Oh my God, guys, you won't believe it. I spent $50 at the bagel shop and I went to all the new construction homes and dropped off bagels and I got 3 leads. I want it to be you guys sharing field notes of what's working and how you are making sure that you're on track. Okay. All right. Get out there and crush it.